and welcome to another episode of Tesseract Talks, the place where we put the spotlight on new tech trends. I'm your host, Marko, the founder and CEO at Tesseract Analytics, and we're joined today by Frances O'Rafty, a senior manager at Baringa, where she's a part of data analytics and AI leadership team. Frances, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Great to be here.
Great. It was great meeting you in person at the last Big Data London event. So maybe to start, could you introduce yourself to the audience and share what led you into the world of data analytics and AI?
Yeah. Okay, so I grew up in the Northeast, gradually made my way down south in the UK, ended up in London for work at the kind of financial crisis of 2008. So I started very much in the kind of business intelligence, trying to get those insights to the customers, the right place, right time. I quickly realized how difficult that was when your data wasn't structured right or wasn't available. So I kind of went down the rabbit hole, went through ETL, data architecture, into data management, and then more recently, bringing that all back together in this kind of concept of data products, treating data as a product and bringing that kind of holistic view with a really target focus on use cases and getting data to meet specific use cases. Outside of work, I met my husband 10 years ago, 15 years ago now, who's a civil engineer who I've also brought across to the data profession. So half of a data couple now. And I have 3 kids and a cat. So that's me.
Okay, great. Amazing. And so tell us what drew you to your current company, Baringa, and what makes its approach to consulting and data solutions unique?
Yeah, so when I was actually approached to come and work for Baringa, I wasn't actively looking, but the more I heard about their kind of people first approach, the way in which they truly partnered with their clients, I kind of got really interested. During the interview process, I actually met Danny and a couple of them at Big Data London 3 or 4 years ago. And it was really great just to kind of start to get that connection. And it's always that kind of test on day one at a new company of, is this going to be as people focused as they talked about? And within the first week of joining, people were asking me to collaborate. People were kind of reaching out. And I was like, it's exactly what it says on the box. It is a very people first culture. And that's what drew me towards it. Like, I love kind of trial and error, bringing ideas around. So being able to work in such a collaborative team and build a collaborative team is been a really great experience.
How do you and your team use data and AI to deliver real lasting impacts for the clients?
Yeah, so we're really focused on that kind of end-to-end solution and doing that initial diagnosis to make sure that we're not just putting more sticky plasters on the solution and we're actually really understanding the root cause. I think with that kind of people focus, we very much embed ourselves with the teams that we work with. Quite often we've had clients sort of talk to me about, you can't see where the Baringa team ends and our team starts. You just kind of work as one and work through the challenges together. We're developing some really good cutting edge solutions. A recent article came out about our partnership with Microsoft and how we're kind of leveraging some of the stack there to push the boundaries and what we can do with AI initially internally, but now offering that out to our clients as well. And we all know that AI is only as good as the data underneath it. So all of our kind of data foundation work is expanding to really focus in on the catalogs, the context. How do we get that real-time monitoring? People can't wait weeks. People aren't doing reporting at month end and weekend like they were when we started in this space. They want data now that they can act on, that they can trust. So those data foundations are really kind of lifting up to the next level. So, things like our document drafting tools, it's kind of improving by 50%, reducing times to value there. We've done some great work in the energy sector. It's kind of what Baringa's famous for, supporting the energy transition. So again, AI and analytics to advance how we can kind of best utilize the SME knowledge and use kind of AI to accelerate that, so you don't always need the SME on site. Things like creating capability and frameworks. So when we partner with our clients, we work with them closely so that when we move on to the next problem, they can continue to succeed. So really embedding that capability as we go along to kind of create that lasting value. And then I guess in my space, data products, it's all about, unlocking that time to value. How do you stop the data teams becoming that bottleneck, which we used to have in that kind of point-to-point interaction with data? And how do we get more reusable, more holistic solutions that are really focused on the actual question that someone wants to ask? So whether that's like data quality, moving away from profiling your entire foundations to really sort of saying what data quality do I need to implement this use case, and then really honing in on that and targeting the improvement of data quality in that space, or whether it's just making data more discoverable, shop fronts, putting it into kind of induction practices within organizations. How do you get data out there so people can use it? Because that's the only way you're going to get data-driven decision makings and value out of that data.
And can you tell us what are some of the biggest challenges companies face when trying to turn data into actionable insights?
So I think I just referenced it slightly in that last question in terms of the adoption. I think it's that last 10 or 20%. We've put so much focus over the last kind of decade into, big data warehouses, and then it was get everything into a data lake, and then it was get everything onto the cloud. We've kind of done those foundations. We've got those legacy systems integrated. There's still work to do in a lot of places, but we've made great progress there. But what we haven't necessarily got is that user centricity. And with the technology we've got today, lowering the barrier of entry to using data for a start, using natural language to be able to talk to your data, that sort of thing. I think it's that last 10%. How do we actually get the adoption, people using it, and show that quality isn't just a, yo-yo diet, right? Where we fix a load of stuff and then it gets a load worse again, then we fix it, that observability. So I think a lot of those challenges now are, now we've got those foundations. How do we keep those foundations healthy? How do we keep them fit? How do we make sure that what AI is using is the right context? So building and evolving. But in my space, in the data management strategy space, that's the biggest challenge that we're battling against at the minute.
And can you share maybe an example of a project or an initiative where data-driven decision making made a major difference? And I understand you might not be able to reveal the company names, but at least you can talk about the case.
Yeah, so I do a lot of work in financial services. So, a lot of legacy migrations are happening in that space. They've been on these kind of, I've done green screen migrations, we're doing cloud migrations, number of different ones, but you see similar trends in these migration programs where, it's a multi-year program. They need to kind of keep on track, things creep in, issues come out, and it delays the program. So what we've really tried to do is use data to spot which cohorts of data we move first. So where's our best quality? Where's the products that are the simplest, that aren't as complex? And then as we do that, monitor the quality of the product data, of the customer data as we transfer it across, so that we know that when we're doing the lift and shift into the new world, that the data that's going across is a good standard. And that's really helped kind of mitigate risks. It's helped us target the right data first as part of that migration, and generally just kind of keeping us making the right decisions and going in the right direction. And there's another one that we did as well last year for a large telecoms organization, similar kind of thing, rolling out a network expansion program. And we actually there developed kind of 30 different reports, which are used 10,000 times a month by 500 unique users to provide that kind of up-to-date information so that they can avoid delays, they can spot areas of opportunities, and that they can make the right decisions on rolling that out. Again, water companies, similar sort of thing, creating dashboards to get the right workers to the right place at the right time. So lots of really good nuggets like that we've kind of, and there's a whole host of case studies that we're putting on the website. There's so much opportunity to kind of drive insights through data.
Amazing. And I know you already briefly touched upon that Baringa is known for its people first culture. How does that influence the way you lead and work with clients?
Yeah, so I think it is really, like I mentioned, it's a very much of partnership. We kind of work together as a team, but we also have fun together as a team. So whether that's kind of going for meals out, CSR days, we've gone to conferences together, we spend time with our clients, we get to know them on a personal level. And we'll also approach it in a very kind way. So it's not always nice. It's that kindness. So calling out where things could be done better, pushing the boundaries on the innovation side, and kind of making sure that they can get across the next hurdle. So I think sometimes people see that people first is nice, but it's very much that kind and pushing them in the right direction, giving them the nudge when they need it, and then stepping back when they know they need to build up their own teams, right? So how do we then build up that capability so that we can then step onto the next challenge and they are left with something that's going to work for years to come? Another thing that we've published recently is our customer service and AI guide. So very much looking at how we can make sure that the AI that is used for customer services and customer facing really meets the need of the client. So again, another kind of place where we're very much focusing on that people first. So with the new technology, it's great, but how do we make sure that there's no impact on the human at the end using it, and that they're getting a good experience from it? So yeah.
And with all the technological developments happening these days, where do you see the future of data and AI consulting heading over the next few years?
Great question. I think, everyone's hot topic is AI, Gen AI, agentic AI. And I think for the minute we are seeing production solutions, but a lot of it is very much experimental still. So I think where we're looking next is, what does that look like when you scale it out to the enterprise? How does that enterprise architecture work? The need for enterprise data management. How do you make sure that the data feeding into that is really good? How do you make sure you've got the semantics, the ontologies around it to help it not hallucinate and stay within the context of the question that people are answering? But again, that whole bringing people to data, that natural language interface, you're letting people access through Gen AI. And there's a whole bit that I see around needing to educate people to be critically challenging of what they're actually seeing and what they're receiving back. And I think for that, you need the transparency. So where I see a lot of my work heading is into this kind of transparency context. How do you get the lineage? How do you get that person at the end to really trust what the AI is telling them? And ultimately, right, if we're going to ask AI to make decisions on our behalf, how do we trust that it's doing it right? Who's accountable for that? There's a whole bit of ownership that we need to focus on. So I see us really supporting our clients and bringing that all together with the kind of the expertise from industry, a really geeky data team, and all the kind of architecture support that we have in our capabilities teams as well. That's where I see it going next. I think there's a lot of challenges with the new technology to really embed it responsibly and properly.
And finally, what advice would you give to a professional looking to make an impact in data and analytics today?
Be critical. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of new things out there. Go try them, try stuff, but also assess where the value is going to be. Try everything, try it with your users, get people inputting into it, and then really go for the stuff where you see the value in your organization. And everyone's going to be different in that space. So it's very much try it, work out what works for you, and then head for the bit that's going to bring you value. Things that you can actually realize and you can measure are the place where you're going to be able to kind of get the most impact.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Francis, for coming to the show and sharing these valuable insights. But that was all for today, and I hope to see you again in future on another episode of Tesseract Talks, or perhaps on another data event.
Awesome. Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.